Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is Sunday morning. Darryl and a few of the kids are at church. They have two different churches to attend this morning. Darryl helps out with the service on a couple of them, so he is gone for most of the day. So I just have the twins home with me today, and I thought it would be a good chance to do some cooking with them, and I'll do my normal Sunday chats and stuff as well. But we're going to start off first, before it gets even hotter, with getting the Oreo Truffles balls set up so that we can put them in the fridge, and then we will cover them in chocolate later. I was going to make some dairy-free cream cheese to make the balls, but I'm not going to. We're going to keep it really super simple. So we're going to get the boys to help out. All right, so we need the Oreos opened and into the Thermomix. Move over the side so you both stand there. All right, so the boys are going to open up all the Oreos and throw them in the Thermomix. Alrighty, so we've got 3 packets of Oreos in there, which is a little bit more than what the recipe asks for, but it'll be fine. We will deal with the texture if we'll adjust it. They're also chocolate Oreos because it says not to use double stuff Oreos because it ends up with too much cream, and the only single stuff ones that I could find were the chocolate ones. So we're going to now add a 250 gram block of cream cheese. So you want to grab a knife so you can cut that into some chunks. So yeah, cut them into some chunks and put it in the Thermomix as well.
This big?
Yeah, that's fine.
Damn, it's a bit hard to get off the knife. You know that, or I could just
Yeah. All right, now put it on the Thermomix. You go wash your hands. So now we're just going to mix it up. So we're going to go manual mode, and we're just going to put it on select the speed. Yep, that one. No, not that way. Just hit the 0. Yep, hit the 0. And down the bottom there, hit 4. And then play. All right, hit stop and we'll check it. Yeah, just wait and then pull it off. All right, have a look. All right, you want to grab a spatula?
It's perfect.
All right, and we'll just check that it's all. We're going to go a little bit longer. I probably should have crumbed the Oreos first. I didn't think about it. But we're going to go a little bit longer because it's still got some chunks of biscuit and stuff in there. We want it really, really smooth. So, all right, just pull it off and we'll have a look. So another 10 seconds. Got it. We'll have a look. And we might just, yeah, we might just go once more to get that last bit of cream cheese spread through. Let me just stir it around a little bit so that it's mixing the top layer as well. So I'm going to turn it up a little bit too. We'll hit the 8 down the bottom. Alrighty, stop it and check it. It's smooth now. Alright. Alright, how about you guys give your hands a really good clean because we're going to use our hands to put it into balls now.
Is this good enough?
Yep, alright, so now we've got this smooth truffle type texture. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get it into balls and we're going to put it on a tray and then it's going to go in the fridge until it sets up a bit, and then we'll cover it with chocolate as well. Maybe some sprinkles or something on the chocolate too. So now I was going to use my ice cream scoop, but the smaller one of this set of 3 I can't seem to find. So hands nice and clean.
A bit dirty from my...
So what you need to do is make that into balls.
Is the texture fine?
Yep.
Texture.
Yep. So you're going to turn it into a ball.
I need dry my hands.
It's fine. I'm not being real even with it. It doesn't really matter. We're not cooking them, so it's okay if they're nice and close together. We'll be covering them in chocolate later. Alrighty, so we've got these. They're all different sizes. I didn't really matter about that because they're just for the kids. It doesn't have to be uniform. So now we're going to put these in the fridge to set up, and in an hour or so we will cover them in chocolate. And the boys can lick the bowl if there's anything left in it. In the fridge, please. And then that is done for now. Alright, so we will finish those a bit later with the boys. They'll help me dip them in chocolate, and then we can dip them in sprinkles or something. And for now it is, I don't know, I took my watch off because it's charging. It's lunch, it's not quite lunchtime, but I haven't eaten yet today. So I think I'm going to make myself some of the noodles that I make with the ramen seasoning and stuff. I think I'll have some noodles for lunch, and then yeah, we will come back to that, and I'll come back and do my normal chatting and stuff. But that was just the beginning of our day. Alrighty, we've done lunch. We haven't chocolate coated the truffles yet. I'll do that on screen when the kids do it, but it's really hot. So it's 40 degrees at the moment, middle of the day. The kids are all just inside relaxing on games and stuff. So we will do that a bit later when it cools down a bit more. But in the meantime, I need to do my chat, but I want to do a test for a recipe. Normally I struggle with making sponge cakes because the oven is a finishing oven. So when it changes temperature, the gas goes on and off, and that wreaks havoc with sponge cakes, and they always end up flat and dense and not real great. But what I thought I might do is try and do my own sort of roulade type thing. So that way the sponge cake is a flat 10 to 12 minute bake on a baking tray, and I'll roll it up. And I've got all these nice jams. I've got the plum jam, the apricot jam. I've probably got some other fruit that needs to be jamified as well. So I thought that that might be a good way to do it. Or I can do a custard, or, you know, whatever. So I want to do a test run of one of those that will just be something that we have now for trifle, because that's what I use it normally for, is trifle. I'd really like to do a chocolate one with some sort of chocolate cream to use, and I was thinking that using the coffee or the chocolate jelly in it instead of a fruit jelly, and make a really like a chocolate trifle, chocolate custard, chocolate cake, all mild chocolate though, not, you know, not overpoweringly so, because I've seen the brownie ones and stuff, and I don't think I really want to go that far. I think that that's too much. It's too rich. We still want it light and fluffy, like a chocolate sponge with a chocolate cream and a chocolate custard and a chocolate jelly, and still light and chocolatey across the board, but not heavy like a brownie one would be. That would be really cool. So what I'm going to try and do though is make one of those sponges while I'm in the kitchen and everyone else isn't. It's really hot. We'll see how we go. And yeah, then we'll keep on doing anything we need to chat about. I've got something to show you too. I got sent a massage gun. Someone reached out, it was a few weeks ago, someone reached out and asked if I'd be willing to show off a massage gun in the channel, and I sort of went, and I didn't respond. And Darryl's been doing physio every week lately on his shoulder and stuff, and so I reached back out to them and said, look, if you're willing to send me one still, I will get it, and I will do a post about it in one of my Sunday videos after we've used it, because I could do it for Darryl for Christmas. So I've given it to him early because we're doing this video, and spoiler, but we love it. So I'm going to show it to you because it's really cool. I was skeptical, but it's really good. I really like it. So I'll show you all the functions. It has a heating and a cooling function for one of the heads, and there's all different heads and different speeds. Anyway, I'll show it to you because we really like it. But we're going to try and do this. So I'm going to use the KitchenAid to beat the eggs and sugar to fluffy, but it asks for caster sugar, which most sponges do. And I don't generally buy caster sugar, I only buy raw sugar. So I am going to grind it a little bit in the Thermomix first and just take it down a notch, because the whole point is that you're supposed to basically dissolve the sugar in the eggs to make the fluff. And if the grains are too big, it's not going to do that, which is part of why sometimes the sponges fail, because I'm lazy and I use raw sugar. So I'm going to grind some because it doesn't hurt to have some ground. So this needs only 100 grams. I don't think that will grind really well. So I'm going to do 200 grams just to put enough in the bowl to work. And I'm just going to grind it for like 30 seconds. We don't want it icing sugar, but we want it nice and fine. It's probably not even 30 seconds, honestly. Let's start off with 5. The Thermomix is pretty powerful, and sometimes I definitely overdo things just because I think it's going to need it. Yeah, it's probably fine. Look at that. It's even smaller than caster sugar, not quite icing sugar. So that will work perfectly fine for what we need. So I'm going to grab my KitchenAid bowl, popping my KitchenAid whisk into the little slot that it needs to be. Alrighty, so we got 4 eggs. 4 eggs, which I've already cracked. We're having issues with eggs developing on the bench, so these are actually out of the fridge, which is not ideal, but we'll make it work. And my scales, and we want 100 grams of caster sugar. Now we want it tripled in volume. And then we're going to want to add a tablespoon of melted butter. So I'm just going to pull a tablespoon of butter out, and I'd imagine that it'll be melted by the time I need it. So I'm going to throw this on the KitchenAid with the whisk attachment, and let's see what it does. All right, this looks pretty good. It says to add the vanilla and the butter and mix through. It doesn't clarify whether that's mixed through with the whisk or not. Like, it says to fold the flour in, but it doesn't say anything about how we want this mixed through. Now, the butter's melted but not liquid, and I don't know if that's going to make a difference either. We shall see. Tablespoon of butter and the vanilla. I'm going to whisk that again. And it's a lovely texture, lovely and fluffy. So now we're going to, I'm just going to fold that, make sure that is mixed through there. We're going to put our flour. Now, it wants 100 grams of plain flour, and it would like it whisked, which makes sense because we want it nice and fine. I don't own a sifter, and you know, it says to do half and half, so we're going to do 50. And fold that through. Gently mix that in. Going to lose a bit of air no matter what you do, but the minimal you can lose, the better. And another 50. Trying to make sure that I get any of those potential lumps out of the flour. I find that even if you sift flour in, it hits the wet and it's going to have the potential for lumps anyway. So that looks good to me, but the texture's still lovely and fluffy. All right. So now it says a 24 by 30 centimeter. This is going to be bigger than that, I'd imagine. I don't know what it is, but that definitely looks bigger than 24 by 30. I was going to get my tape measure and check, but I really don't know where it is. It was on my desk. It isn't anymore. But I think this is more likely to be the right size. The big problem is that it doesn't have as much of a rim on it. And I don't know how much of a rim it needs. So we're just going to give it a go. I think it's better because I think if the pan's too big, it'll end up too thin and I won't be able to roll it. So sponge cakes are not my forte, but it'd be really nice to be able to successfully make this style and know that I can. So let's spread this out. See, even this seems like large surface area for a small amount of batter. Who knows? We shall see. I'm sure there's plenty of people who make these regularly who are looking at me, who are watching this and going, no, that's not the way you do it. Sorry. I don't profess to be an expert, especially not in this sort of baking. And look, I've got some lumps of flour there too, so you know. This sort of baking is not, yeah. I can make really good food, but precision baking, not really my thing. Things where you have to follow instructions, not always my thing. Baking where I throw in all the different flavors and it tastes good, yeah. All right, so it says only 10 to 12 minutes in the oven, so we will see. We will see how that turns out. As I said, it's just a test run. Just thought I'd do it while I was in the kitchen. So what's gone on this week? We have had lots of cooking and stuff with and you've seen me pretty much every day. And most days like most videos, there's a little, you know, mention of things in them anyway, because, you know, this is real life. It's filmed. I haven't filmed anything in advance as much as I would love to have, so I didn't have to edit a video every night. I haven't. So, but yeah, we've got, so patio wise, we had to go and get 3 more sheets of the plastic, and Darryl only went to Bunnings on Friday, so we didn't get them until Friday. We got 2 more up there, but they don't quite reach the edge. We did buy a 3rd, but we were going to use parts of that for something else, so we're probably going to cut it before we get that 3rd one up. And then we bought some timber, some flat decking timber, 100mm wide pieces, like 16mm, 100mm wide pieces, to put up to create a wall on the back side of the patio, a half wall, which is where I want to stick my couch so that it's protected from the rain. But also that's the western wall, so of a late afternoon, that's where the sun comes straight in. So that will be really nice to sort that out. And then we'll probably mount a fan out there eventually as well. We've got the screening to go up still and the gate to go on it, but we're getting there. It has been hard working around all the plants that are on the patio, but we haven't finished the kitchen. The garden space, so all the plants are living on the patio at the moment. You know, always a juggle. But it's really nice to be making progress on that and to have it almost done and hopefully ready for Christmas. The idea is that when Mum comes, generally speaking, of an evening, once the kids are all on their computers and Darryl's on doing what he's doing, Mum and I sit out here at the kitchen table and just chatter until we go to bed, except that Christmas beetles are a big issue at Christmas time. Funny that, hey? So we sit out here and it's not screened. So the beetles and the bugs and stuff are massive. So it'd be really nice to be able to move to the couch on the new patio, and I'll get a footstool out for her too, for Mum. And I've got a coffee table, and the coffee table actually lifts up, so we can always do a puzzle or something together, or, you know, just something nice that's, you know, that is a bit different than having to sit out here. When we're at Mum's place, we just lounge on the couch and watch TV, and that's great. But we don't have a TV here set up. The kids have a TV. The kids have lounge chairs and a TV. They have multiple gaming systems and stuff that they do as group activities and that in their living space. But Darryl and I don't have a couch or a TV set up in any such way to do anything together as such yet. We end up spending time at our own desks, which are sort of catty corner to each other, so we talk to each other throughout the evening, but at our own desks. And then eventually I go to bed pretty early, normally about 9:30 is my bedtime. When the 3 small boys go to bed, I normally go to bed too, and Darryl stays up until midnight-ish. That's when he generally goes to bed. I'm normally up by 5:30. Nearly everyone else is sort of 7:30, so I go to bed a bit earlier than everyone else, and I get up a bit earlier than everyone else, which is kind of nice anyway. But one day we will have some space to sit on, like a couch with a TV or something that we can sit together on, maybe. But we also work at night too. Like, I edit videos and he does his D&D work and all the rest of it. Like, sometimes we work through until we go to bed, and so we have to be at our desks to do that anyway. But it would be nice to purposefully take a break from that and sit together on a couch and watch something for an hour or something. You know, we'll see. What else? I was thinking about the week post-Christmas and stuff too, with videos and that, and I might do some chat videos. I really need to redo the introduction video on the front of the YouTube page, because that is from when I very first started and I made so many mistakes and was so uncomfortable. So I really need to do that, but I thought I could do a FAQ style video again too, a sit down chat, some history, reintroduction and things like that. So if anyone wants to send anything through for that, I can do that. But I have been saying about the comments that I've been getting lately, and honestly they've been coming through pretty thick and fast. So I thought I will address a few of them. I do get the same comments from multiple people, which is why I tend to address them, generally speaking. Like, I reply to comments, even negative comments, I generally reply at least once. I will reply once with an explanation, a polite explanation of whatever they're questioning. And if they can come back to me politely and whatever, and that's fine. I'll even have a discourse with them if that's, that's the thing. But if they get nasty or ridiculous, then I will block them. But I try not to block people because everyone's allowed to have their opinion. And I always think about it that if someone feels strongly enough to say something in the comments, then there might be like a dozen other people who feel the same way but just haven't said anything. So by addressing the comments, then I'm answering it for other people as well. But I have been getting a lot lately, or it feels like it anyway. And maybe that's just because I've been putting a lot of videos out, so that's why it feels like there's a lot coming in. I don't know. But the repeated sort of things are, all right, 12 minutes. It's set to the touch. So now it says to grab some baking paper and sprinkle it with, probably need to spin it the other direction. Sprinkle it with the caster sugar. And then you want to tip it out onto this one and peel this back. And then we want to roll it until it cools. Now, do I roll it with the paper inside it or not? You'd think not. You'd think you'd use the baking paper to assist, but you wouldn't put it in it. But you also have to unroll it for filling, so maybe it's not such a big deal. I don't know. So we will do it like that, and it's rolled, and now I will let it cool, and then we shall see, won't we? I don't know. Sorry, I got interrupted and then I got sidetracked. I put a slushy on for the kids and stuff. Anyway, I was saying about the comments that I'm getting. I'm getting a lot of them and a lot of repeat comments lately, and a lot of them are, and I have got them before as well. And so one of the big things that I get at the moment is about my clothing and my lack of an apron. When I'm at home, I have a dozen shirts that I wear. You see them in rotation. I actually have multiples of the same color as well. And most of them have staining. Most of them have grease or cooking stains or whatever on them. And that's why I wear them, because I'm filming cooking in the kitchen, and so they get stained. And that's just the way it is. I have half a dozen or more that are completely clean that I do not wear for cooking. I wear them when I go to Brisbane. I've got a few extra that I'm now going to use when I go to work as well. But they aren't used in the kitchen because I don't want them to get stained, because that's where I wear the stained ones. And as for aprons, I understand they're just not for me. Realistically, to have a clean apron, you have to wash it every day. So I would be washing my clothing and an apron every day, which means I'd need to own at least 3 or 4 aprons, because that's how washing goes in our household, and if we get bad weather and everything else. But also, it's like the fact that I was sitting here talking about this, and then I've been elsewhere for half an hour because someone came and interrupted me, and then I went off and did other things. I'd need to take an apron off and on, because I'm not wearing that extra layer when I'm sitting elsewhere or anything else, and it just wouldn't be a particularly efficient thing for me. And then I'd take it off. I don't know where I'd put it. Would I put it inside? Would I put it outside? And I'd have to have multiples of that, and that would get dirty as well. And so I am aware that the front of my shirt is grubby. I also had comments about my belly sitting on the kitchen bench, that maybe I need to get a higher bench or wear an apron because of that. The bench is ergonomic for a kitchen. It's the right height to cook at, so I can't lift my bench. But again, with the aprons, they're just not my thing, and I'm not going to wear it just to disguise the belly. Now, in summer, I have a tendency to wear cotton shorts, which are kind of daggy, but I'm in my own house and they're comfortable and they're cool compared to my colourful pants that I wear. They're a polyester blend, and sometimes they get really, really hot. So in summer, sometimes I just can't bear the idea of wearing them, and I just wear cotton shorts. And whilst, yes, they're daggy and everything else, they're comfortable, but they also don't hold the belly as firmly as like the polyester short pants with the higher waist. And yes, my belly occasionally sits on the kitchen bench because I am the size I am, and I've had 6 children, including a cesarean for twins. So, you know, that happens. And I notice these things when I'm editing, and I'm already a bit self-conscious about it. So having them pointed out all the time is not necessarily the greatest thing in the world. But anyway, so yes, shirts, belly and aprons have been brought up multiple times recently. The cleanliness has been brought up again, over and over again too. I have had comments about that, you know, nobody does anything around the house and other people should be cleaning as well and things like that. And I think the big thing is that people have to remember is that I only film for up to a couple of hours of every day and then condense it into like half-hour to hour-long videos every few days sort of thing. And this is not my entire life, and it's not everyone else in the house's responsibility to make my filming environment clean either. And as I always say, the kitchen bench and all this is clean. Like, this gets wiped down and sanitized regularly, multiple times in a day. The oven spaces, the pots and pans are cleaned when I use them, and the spaces where any food comes into contact with are cleaned all the time. But places like the floor, we've just got decking timber, and it always looks grubby because it's decking timber and outside. The sides of the buckets behind me, I get comments about them a lot too, because the outsides of the buckets are always dirty. I wipe them down regularly, like, you know, I'll use a tea towel for the day, and then once I'm cleaning up of an afternoon, I will use those tea towels to wipe down any surfaces that will leave the tea towels grubby, like the buckets or the top of the stove or whatever else, things that you don't want to do during the day because then the tea towels are useless for other things. Before they go into the wash. So everything gets wiped down regularly, but it is what it is. And it would be really lovely to have somewhere clean and cool and all the rest of it, but it's just not in purview at the moment. There is a lot of struggles with just everyday life that means that things get sidelined. And I know that, like, the choices of cleaning and stuff, like, it's like the wall, this wall over here that you see all the time, this metal wall that actually looks really clean at the moment. When we hung the colour bond there, when Darryl hung the colour bond there, he actually hung it upside down accidentally. This was years ago. It's been there for a long time. So the way the corrugates go means that there's actually a shelf for dust to collect on, and we dust it regularly, but it gets really gross. But that wall, even though it's in the back of a lot of these shots, is nowhere near my actual kitchen. Like, the kitchen ends before that. I don't walk anywhere near there. All the cats, there's an automatic cat water fountain and all that sort of thing is on the ground over there, and the water for the shower comes through there. So the reason we haven't just flipped the colour bond is that there is cutouts for the plumbing for the shower to go through, and if we flipped that, we'd have to put more holes in it, and the holes wouldn't be in the same place and things like that. So for the moment, we've left it because the plan was to build a bit of a pantry against that wall. So once we did that, we'd pull that off and put something flat on it. But again, the kitchen, it just hasn't happened. And so there's a lot of things that look kind of gross to a lot of people, and I understand that, because if you're used to living in a house where everything's contained and you can clean it up and you can spend a couple of hours, do a deep clean, and your place is clean, and then that's fantastic, you know, but it isn't that for us. And we do clean, but we clean in chunks, and by the time you've cleaned one chunk and then you move on to the next one, that first chunk is dirty again. And it's just dust. It's just grime from the air. It's sandy, it's red sand here, and it's all sandy, and the wind, like you can see behind me, the wind is really high at the moment and it blows straight through my kitchen, and I like that. That is on purpose. The open kitchen is on purpose because it's too hot otherwise. When we first looked at moving out here and we were doing floor plans for the buildings that we've got, so there's 3 buildings and each building is 3 meters by 12 meters and they're in an L shape. So there's one 3 meter by 12 meter building this way, and then there's 2 3 meter by 12 meter buildings this way, and the ones this way are all our living areas, the bedrooms and everything, and this one has the bathroom at the end and then a hallway. Now that hallway has all my chests, fridges and freezers and stuff on it, the Tupperware cupboards, all that sort of stuff, as well as the solar and all that sort of stuff. That hallway originally was where I was going to build a kitchen. It was going to be a somewhat enclosed kitchen, like a galley type kitchen was the idea. But once we moved out here, I realized that I didn't want a kitchen in that smaller space. I didn't want to be trying to work in a space like that with the style of cooking that we were doing. And that's when we started out on the patio. Now, when we first moved out, the patio, we just had like a couple of benches with the oven and stuff. And eventually we've expanded it to be this large kitchen space. And whilst it's still not as efficient as I'd like, my sink is, I have to walk around a bench to get to my sink, it's very annoying. My fridges are further around a bench, and the chest fridges and stuff are around that bench and also up on top of the house. Like, I do a lot of steps in a day, like 4, 5, 6,000 steps in a day, and all I'm doing is cooking and walking backwards and forwards from the house. And that's because nothing's in that nice, efficient triangle. You know how your kitchen should be in a triangle, you know, your bench and then your oven and then your fridge. And at some point, things will become more efficient as we get it done. But I know that I say we'll get it there, and we will. And I know it feels like we've said that for a long time, and we have. But in the scope of things, it's important, but it's not important. Like, everything's very usable as it is. Occasionally I throw a bit of a tizzy and Darryl will have to rearrange something or fix something for me because it just isn't working. But in general, I can access everything I need. Things go missing all the time. That is one of my big pet peeves. I'm forever saying I can't find this or I can't find that. And a lot of that is the lack of storage in this kitchen, but I'm not willing to buy more storage until we get it sorted out, because at the moment it would just be placed somewhere that wouldn't be convenient either. So I don't know, I've squirreled and rambled there, but it was a thing. I have been getting a lot of comments. I have been getting a lot of, I get an awful lot of positive feedback. I do. And thank you so much to everyone who does. And it's wonderful. And I know that the positive feedback outweighs the negative. It totally does. But it's the negative that tends to stick with you, which is really unfortunate. But that's just the way things go, especially when the same things are repeated. So I've had a lot of comments lately about my appearance and the cleanliness and things like that, and a lot of comments about how nobody else does anything in the house, and that sort of thing. And again, with yes, I carry primary load. I'm the primary parent. I do the primary load of schooling, the primary load of child care, and the primary load of cooking and budgeting and things like that. Yes, I admit that. It doesn't mean that nobody else does anything, though. Yes, they don't do as much as I do, but part of that's on me as well, because I take on those things, and because I'm not very good at being idle either. Unfortunately, none of my children have taken after me in that. Sonnet a little bit. Sonnet doesn't like being bored, but mostly they're all pretty happy to just be somewhat idle, whether it's playing games or lounging around or whatever. That's not really my thing. I'm not very good at not doing things because there's things that always need to be done. And so I just keep on going. And I could not. Like, Darryl doesn't have a problem if I slow down or take some time out or you know, take a nap or whatever else. It's me who can't do that. It's me who struggles to stop. It's me who struggles to let things slide and things like that. So it's not that they don't do anything. It's more that I do more than I should, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to sort of say it because, yeah, there has been a few comments lately, and the thing is that you're only seeing this small snippet of my life, and people make snap judgments on it, and that's the way the internet works. And YouTube is a little bit judgmental, I suppose, and I think that's because there's so much comparison to be had. There is so much out there that is pristine and aesthetic and purposely filmed for what it is, and then to compare that to a real life situation, the people, they don't expect it to actually be real life. They expect it to be faux real life. They expect it to be presented in a real life way, but still aesthetically pleasing. And that's just, it's a little bit beyond my abilities or desires. I already spend an awful lot of time recording and editing and sharing, and I don't have the time to then make it look like it's real life but curated. I don't know if that makes sense. I think the thing is that everybody's priorities differ too. So like whilst I would like things to be neater and finished and the kitchen to be rearranged and everything else, there is a priority factor there to what needs to be done. We're still trying to earn decent income as well to get things done, and at the moment earning that income is really important to get the jobs done. And I understand that we're not getting the jobs done because we're earning the income, but the thing is that it will give us the opportunity to at a later date. We really, at some point, we really need a bore. It's something that would improve our lives massively, save us a lot of money in fuel and a lot of time in collecting water. The fact that we can only collect water 1,000 litres at a time, it really does, it's very time consuming, and we never seem to get on top of the water situation because you're only collecting it at 1,000 litres at a time. But to get a bore, we probably need like $25,000 in the bank, because you don't know how much it's going to cost. It depends on how deep they have to go. So you get a diviner out here and they have a look and they give you a rough guesstimate based on the other bores in the area and the diviner and all that sort of thing. And then they start to dig. Now, if they get to that point that they've quoted, which might be 10 grand, 11 grand, 12 grand, whatever, and they haven't hit water, well, you're not going to just say, oh well, there's 12 grand and we didn't hit water. That's not the way it works. You have to let them keep on going till they hit water, because once they've started and once you've got them out here and once you've spent part of that money, then that's the way it works. So we need a good 25 grand in the bank before we can get someone out here to attempt to sink a bore. And that is a significant investment in our world. It's a worthwhile investment, but a significant one. So part of getting the 2-day-a-week job thing is that it becomes another side hustle, partly. And the thought was that I could use that to try and invest in a bore. That's the thought. That can be put away, that income can be put away purely as the fund towards the bore. And if I keep everything else going like I am, then we don't need that money because we're managing on the money that we're earning from everything else. So that money, it will reduce my government monies a little bit, because the more income I earn, the more that reduces. But it should, they balance each other out. And the whole point is that it'd be nice to earn enough that we don't need to accept any government money. I'm superbly grateful for the benefits that we get from the government, but it would be really nice to be in a position to not need any of them, or but for the moment we still use that money towards living. So the idea of the job is that we can get to a point where that might be able to fund the bore, and we continue to live on what we're doing, and maybe YouTube continues to grow. I don't know. I don't know if YouTube will ever grow much more than what it is, and I'm grateful for what it is, but I find myself stagnating a little bit in growth and all the rest of it, and just maintaining a lot. I have not gained much in the way of subscribers in the past couple of months, and subscribers don't mean anything when in reality I have some very regular viewers, and you guys are the ones who actually, you know, consistently make me income because you're regularly viewing. Having subscriber numbers doesn't necessarily mean those people are watching, but having subscriber numbers does help YouTube to promote you, and I'm not gaining much in the way of new viewers lately. They're just very, very tiny trickle. Haven't had any videos get particularly picked up or anything else, and I know that a lot of that's my own lack of time spent on doing the thumbnails that YouTube prefers and all that sort of stuff, but also it's the lack of aesthetics as well, because the channels that take off tend to be aesthetic. They tend to be nice, clean spaces with, you know, people who cooking 10 different meals and showing it all off in one video, and I just sit there and I can't do that. Even if I wanted to try to go to that kind of effort, it's not within the scope of my abilities. I don't have the space or the time or the money to do it. I make things that we're going to eat as we're going to eat them, and I make things in bulk and then they go in the freezer, but I'm not making 4 different bulk things at once in one day to then go in the freezer. It's just, so, you know, anyway, I don't know where I've started with this. I don't know where I've gone with this. It's been a bit of a hot weather, feeling crappy kind of a ramble, hasn't it? But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I made myself a coffee milk. The coffee ninja slushy. I'll put the ninja video out after this one, I think. And we made a coffee slushy and it was amazing. But the big problem is like I've got the slushy machine running at the moment, but I've got it running for the kids. So I've got lemonade and mango nectar in it at the moment. Mango peach nectar in it at the moment for the kids. So, you know, and I made a Coke Zero slushy for Darryl this morning and things like that. So, which is why if I could have got one of the really cheap ones, I probably would have got 2, but that's fine because I didn't, it takes about half an hour to mix them, which isn't very long, but they work better on sort of at least halfway up the midline rather than just minimum. And I don't want to make that much for myself. I'd drink it over a few hours, but then I can't make anything for the kids. Anyway, I'll talk about that on the end of the slushy video. I'm very happy with it, but I'll talk about that on the end of the slushy video. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, the massage gun. That was the other thing I was going to talk about, wasn't it? I did bring it out too. So this is the one that I got, Bob and Brad version, and I've got a 10% off code that I will share with you guys too. Now, as I said, I got offered it was weeks ago. Something on the ground behind me, tea towel. See, things like that, I normally see what I'm editing and I go, I should have cleaned that up because someone's going to mention that. Anyway, it was probably a month, 6 weeks ago, someone reached out and I sort of said, and I didn't reply, so nah, I don't know. But then when Darryl's doing all the physio and stuff, I decided to message them back, say, if you've still got one on offer, I would love to give it a go and share it. So they did. And they sent it out and we really, really like it. It is like, it's fantastic. So it comes in this little case, it's got a charging cable and there is multiple places. So you've got the main handle and this handle has a charging point on it somewhere on the end here. USB-C charger, and there's also a head that has its own charging, and this is the head that has the different temperature range. So that you've got your standard different heads that vibrate. So this is just a rubbery one. It's good for like getting good coverage, firm sort of a thing in workout, pain relief and that sort of thing is what I'm sure the book says about it. It's got different speeds on it, so you can crank it right up to a really fast, down to a low, depending on what you're doing. And I find that the speed really varies depending on how much pressure you're using. Like the boys like to do it on Darryl's back for him, and they can do it up quite high speed because they're not putting a lot of pressure on, but if you're actually really working it in there, you only need it on the lower speed. So it's got these little heads on it. Now the heads just come out like that. They just there's a slight thread on them and unscrew. And then you've got multiple different ones. So you've got these little ones that are for round down the side of the spine. You've got a round one that's sort of like a styrofoamy type ball that has less give in it. So this has got a little bit of cushioning to it. This one's got less give in it, but it's got that round shape. And you've got a deep tissue one as well. That's really hard. So you'd have to be careful where you were using that depending on, you know, how you use it. Then you've got this one. So this is the one that I really like. So they just screw in and pop in. All right. It's got its own charging port, and when you turn it on, it's the same as the other one. It vibrates like that, but on the side of it, it also has temperatures. So it has, I think this one needs charging and the kids haven't told me. That'd be right. So it has 2 buttons here, but I'm gonna have to charge it to show you, a heat and a cool. So let me go put this on charge and I will come back. All right, so we're charged. So it just goes into the slot like the other one, but it has this dial on the side. So you can turn it on to heat, and there's different levels of heat. There's warm or hot, and this metal plate here warms up or heats up. And then you also have cold, so this piece gets chilly. So it's really nice on the skin depending on what you prefer. I quite like it warm. I quite like the sensation of the massage but warm. Darryl quite likes it cool, but I think it would depend on the ambient temperature and where you're massaging, depending on what you're going for. So you've got an sort of like ice, I suppose, using ice as well, or using heat. So I thought that was really, really cool. I don't think I've seen that on anything else. And then when it's going, it's got a really nice round, like it's a nice surface area that it's actually vibrating on. There's a good amount of surface area that it's going on, and being metal like that, it's quite slippery too. I was going to look in the book about whether I could use it with some oil or not, because I think that having it warm and then using a little bit of water-based massage oil on it would be quite nice to slide along the skin, along the back sort of thing and stuff. So anyway, this is the Bob and Brad massage. I've got you down too far. Bob and Brad massage gun. It's got all the different pieces, easy charge, quick charging too actually, and it's got a cord for both pieces, so you can charge both pieces at the same time if you want to. And we're really enjoying it. So thank you very much to Bob and Brad for sending it to me. And I'll put a link in the description. They gave me a code for 10% off and a link for these ones. Obviously, I'm a bit late for Christmas gifting, but if you have birthdays early in the year, it's worthwhile looking at. I was very surprised with how much I have enjoyed using it, and the kids have enjoyed using it on Darryl as well. And yeah, I haven't tried any other brands, so I can't compare it, but I'm really happy with it, and I really didn't think I would be. So I highly recommend this one. And I must say, it fits awfully nicely into this little case and sits on the shelf quite well. So that has worked well too, that it comes with this case, because it's so easy to lose parts, but because they all slot into their own little spot, they're not loose in there. You can see if any aren't in the case and everything else. Yeah, very happy with it. I still have to get the boys out to chocolate coat their Oreo Truffles, but it's still a little bit warm. So let's have a look at what this does. So I did sugar this, but it's still stuck quite badly, but it is unrolling quite well. There is some cracking happening though, and I think part of that is how badly it's sticking. So I reckon cornstarch or something would have been better than sugar, honestly. Don't know, because it's very, very sticky. Anyone who makes these on a regular basis, let me know, because I feel like cornstarch rather than sugar would have been better, because it's sucked up the sugar and ended up sticky. But maybe that's because I had the paper on it rather than rolling it in on itself too. I do have some flour flakes in here too, so I will need to find my little mesh thing for sifting. But it is very, very tacky. Very tacky. So is that because of the way I rolled it? Possibly. Let's grab a fresh, because it did say that a piece bigger than the cake, which leads me to believe you'd be rolling it up. I don't know. I'm going to grab a fresh sheet, and I'm going to put a little bit of cornstarch on this sheet just to roll. It's still not quite completely cool, so just to roll it in this sheet, just like that, to get rid of some of this tackiness. I think just going to do that, and we're going to finish letting it cool, and I will still fill it and slice it because I'm actually pretty happy with it. The shape of it and everything else, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it, but I would prefer if it wasn't this tacky texture. So give me some tips before I make the next one. But other than that, all good. Size worked well with the batter. The batter worked well. It rolled up nicely. It's a good roll there. And then once it's completely cool and I've got it filled, it'll roll really nicely. Yeah, super happy with it. Just a little bit tacky. So yeah. What else? I think just the truffles left to do. So I'm going to stop for the moment. I'm going to go and do some work inside. And then it's 2:30. So actually I need to do chicken. I have chicken that needs processing. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I should probably just cook it up rather than freeze it raw, because it's already at date. And so when you freeze it raw, then it has to sit in the fridge in time to defrost, which is extending your dates and stuff. You're better off just cooking it. So I might just cut it up, marinate it and cook it. We'll have some of it for dinner tonight. The rest will go cooked in the freezer, I think. So I might do that. And then once that's done, it should be cool enough for the boys to do their truffles. Still tacky. And it's cracked a bit because it is tacky, I think. I don't know. Anyway, it's still going to be tasty. So because I still have a jar of passion fruit curd, that is what I'm going to put on it, because I can think of nothing better than a delicious, I should have left a gap at the end there, shouldn't I? Oh well. Fresh, tasty passion fruit curd in this lovely sponge roll. It's going to be sticky, yes, that's just life. And I suppose you do see most of the time they have sugar, icing sugar or whatever sprinkled. Maybe icing sugar mix with the cornstarch in it might have been the thing to do. Maybe? Don't know. But because it is extraordinarily sticky and it's cracking, but you know what? I don't care. It's sticking to my fingers though when I'm doing a sonnet, aren't I? Because I can't use my fingers because they're sticky, and then this is cracking, and I'm going to do this and then I'm going to throw it in the fridge. I think I put too much filling in it. In the end, too much filling. This has not been a successful test run, but it has. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little overfull, which is fine. I was being a little bit overzealous because I haven't used this passion fruit curd and it needed using. And it's a little tacky, but I don't care. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tuck this in so we get it nice and firm. And then I'm going to throw it in to the fridge to set up, and I'm going to slice it later and I'm going to enjoy it. So, you know, that's life. All right, I still haven't done the chicken. I need to do the chicken. All right, it's late, but we're getting this done. So Lorcan, I've got some chocolate melts over a double boiler, and Lorcan is just stirring them as they melt. You don't stir them too hard. You can let them melt and then stir it as you can. Don't touch this bit either because this gets a bit hot too, so only the handle of the pot, okay? So we're going to melt the chocolate to coat the balls, and we've got some Christmas sprinkles that they can put on them as well. So nice, simple task, and then they can go in the fridge for half an hour, and they can have one a bit later for dessert. I am going to add just a tiny bit of coconut oil just to make it easier for the boys to handle, because they're going to be the ones dipping them. So having that coconut oil will make the chocolate just that little bit smoother and thinner for them to be able to use. So we'll melt that into the chocolate as well. All right, so I showed the boys how to pick them up with forks, yep, and then plop it in.
Wait,
And,
that good?
yep, put it in and just turn it a little bit. Yep. That's it, pick it back up and put it back on the tray.
Ooh,
There you go.
that looks delicious.
Yep, do the next one.
Plop.
Shake it off as much as possible so that you're not getting excess. Yep. And then put it down. You want to grab sprinkles and put some on?
Should I just put it in my hands?
You can, yep. And then sprinkle them on the top.
I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put multiple at a time.
You're just going to move quickly because the chocolate gets harder the longer it sits, which makes it harder to cover them. We got the hot water underneath it still, which keeps it warmish, but you're putting cold balls into it, which means that the chocolate will harden up a bit.
Ah, yes, I get it. Tasty chocolate balls. Are we getting pictures of them afterwards? Are we getting pictures of them afterwards?
Yeah, we'll take a photo of them afterwards. You guys can hold the tray and I'll take a photo. How's that sound? Yeah?
Okay, so after this line, I'm gonna add the stars on.
Okay. Alrighty, that's them done. All the different sprinkles that they put on them, and they just need to go in the fridge for half an hour and then they can have them. And let's just quickly see how this turned out before I finish up for the night. Alright. So it's still tacky, which is, we're going to work on that, but let's have a look at a cross section. Yeah, it's a passion fruit roulade. It's a sponge cake with passion fruit curd. And so it worked out really well. It's just the texture is a bit tacky.
Why didn't I have that with the chocolate?
Let's taste it. The sponge is nice and tender. It's a little bit dense, but we knew that was going to happen with the oven, the way it works. And is that tackiness? So maybe it was undercooked slightly. Maybe that's why it's tacky. I don't know. But the passion fruit in it is definitely very nice. So that is everything for today. All my Sunday squirreling and cooking with kids and everything else. And I will see you guys on the next video.